Okay, we're up to Tzaddik. We're up to Tzaddik on Aleph. On the base. Tzaddik on the base. Tan Rabbanan. Tan Rabbanan. Ain might see in Paris Me'eretz Yisrael. Right, you can't take Paris out of Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. Devarim sheish beim chay nefesh. Things that are necessary for life. Kigon yenos, ushmanim uslasais, wine and flour and oils. Because if you take it out, it's going to raise the price again in Eretz Yisrael. The supply will be less, and as a result, so you leave it in Eretz Yisrael. Have you them b'seira mate b'yayin? He says, go ahead and take care of wine. Because he says wine causes a person to be a little tipsy and litaveris. So therefore, you can take wine outside Eretz Yisrael. It's no big loss. It's just like you can't take the staples of life from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. Kain kach ein meitzim Eretz Yisrael to Surya. You can't go ahead, what?
Hold up, we have an important call coming in.
So Surya was the Aram Sova. That was the area we saw in Masechta Gittin that David HaMelech had conquered, but it wasn't annexed to Eretz Yisrael. It was Kibush Yachid, the Kibush of an individual. So therefore, you shouldn't go ahead and take out to Surya as well, because it's not considered part of Eretz Yisrael. The Rabbi Mata and Rabbi permitted it. When did he permit it? May he parchia lahaparchia. Says the Rashba, Machrein shel Eretz Yisrael lepachvir rishayna shel Surya. It seems to be like a little small village that was the end of Eretz Yisrael to the end of Surya. Then you would be permitted to go ahead and take out food, the food, the kivin the smuchim kol kach mutarim. Since they're so close, it's mutar. Tanabanan, ein mistakim Eretz Yisrael, b'dvarim sheish behem chaye nefesh. Right, a person, you can't go ahead and sell from a balabayas in Eretz Yisrael things that are staples, but the balabayas, in other words, you should go ahead and have an individual sell it. You look at Rashbam. Don't become the middleman to buy from balabayas to sell in the shuk, because again, the more people who touch it, the more expensive it is. Balabayas atzmoy yimcha litzarchayim. Let him sell it for his needs. Kamosh yimcha lechenvani, just like he sells to the chenvani, right? And therefore, what it will be, the price will again. The whole sugi about keeping the market, level. So the less we all know, the more people who touch it, the more expensive it gets. So Neil says the Rashbam, if to buy it and process it, that's permitted. The kivin the ikatircha shari, because since you're matriach to make it, it's permitted. You're getting profit on what you're doing. To go ahead and sell something that you didn't process, something that you got in this shape form from the balabayas, that would not be permitted. The balabayas nami matzi mazvin leblei tareach, he could sell it as well without any tircha, and therefore it'll be less money because the less people touch it, and therefore it'll be less. The market will be less. Amrullah Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. So they said about Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, he went ahead and he did go ahead and sell yayin v'shemen. B'yayin savalok Rabbi Yehuda, and yayin he held like Rabbi Yehuda. Let it be expensive, right? So less people will buy it. Again, wine's not a good thing. So our concern is the more people who touch it, the more expensive it'll be. So go ahead and do it. It's not a problem. And b'shemen. It was very, very common to find there. So therefore, even though many people would touch it, even goes up in price, since it's so common, it doesn't make a difference. The price is going to remain relatively stable. That's a person, but in Beitzim, you shouldn't go ahead and have two people sell it. Right? We'll see in a second what that means. Amamari bar Mari, Pligi bar Rav Shmuel. What does it mean? Pamayim. One of them says that what? that the explanation is it's mutter to be marviach on beitzim more than a shtus. So pamayim means al chad v'trei. In other words, you can go ahead, not double. So when it says do not pamayim, even though we said you shouldn't go ahead and sell something more than a sixth. By eggs, you could sell more than a sixth, provided you don't max out at 100% profit, that you don't go ahead and sell it for double. So that's the pamayim. You're selling it for more than a sixth, but you're not going ahead and doubling pamayim. That's one pshat. The other pshat, what Chad Amar, again, we don't know who said what. One says taga l'taga, the schreiber should not be sold the second time. It should not be sold the second time because again, that's going to one time it could be sold the second time, not for one merchant to another. That's going to up the market. Tanrabanan, masriyim. That means we should daven. Usually masriyim means trua, but here it means you should daven. Al pragmatya, right? Bafil b'Shabbos. If you have nice clothing that goes cheap, and that usually is cheap and that went up in price, you'll be able to go ahead and cry out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu bafil b'Shabbos.
What the prices are?
Yeah, if the price goes up very high, you're able to go ahead and daven. Look at Rashbam. Says Rashbam, Masriyim betfila al pragmati shehuzla, habegodim toivim shehuzla. A fine garment that goes down in price. They ain't kind of hefsid la'niyim im yakiru. It's not going to be mafsid to la'niyim im yakiru. In other words, so again, you worry about the market crashing. For who this? No. This is the tzibah. This is the community. This is the community davening. But Rabbi Yochanan keep going what? Kli pishton bebavel. What would be an example? If Kli pishton in Bavel, v'yayin b'shem in Beretz Yisrael, right? In that time, the number of Yosef who dissolve become asara b'shisa. If it's 60% less, but the amount that if it goes down 60% less of its price, then we'll go ahead right and be mispalo b'tzibur, even on Shabbos. Tanabanan. And Yotzim Eretz Yisrael l'chutz laretz. Person should not leave Eretz Yisrael to go to chutz laretz. Elam kain amdu sasayim b'sela. Double the normal price. Usually it's a saw b'sela. If it goes up so expensive, sasayim b'sela, then you could leave Eretz Yisrael. But until then, not. Amrav Shimon Emasai bisman she'ena mitzli likach. You can't find it to buy. If you could find it to buy, afilu amdu saw b'sela la yatsa. Even mat. If it's the sabasela, what you should not go and leave. Elimelech, Machlan Bekilyon of Rusvain, the Gedoli Hadar Hayu. They were the Goli Hadar, Upanasi Hadar Hayu, and they were the leaders of the generations and the sustainer of the generation. They punished that they all died. They left Eretz Yisrael and went to Chutz Laretz. So they were punished for that. So the Rashbam gives a reason. If he says Ein Yotzim, says the Rashbam, Shemafkiin Atzmei mitzvahs. What's the wrong leaving Eretz Yisrael? That you're going ahead in Eretz Yisrael. The mitzvahs tluya baris, there's many mitzvahs, and you mafkiya by going. You mafkiya yourself from mitzvahs, and therefore they were punished. You shouldn't leave Eretz Yisrael because of you're taking mitzvahs off you. Rashi in Gittin, the Daf Ches says that's mashma just leaving Eretz Yisrael. The chutz laretz is asa. Even without the reason that you mafkiya yourself from mitzvahs, just the act of leaving is asa. So Rashbam says you be mafkiya mitzvahs. Rashi seems to say that even just leaving is asa.
Just even for like a trip, you can't.
No. It means to settle. Yeah. It means to settle. It means to settle. What to leave it? Again, there's reasons that people are able to leave. There are heterim there are heterim to leave Eretz Yisrael, but there are heterim. There's gullus. There are heterim that people, to leave for parnasa, for marriage. There are limit Torah, certain things there are heterim for. Now, where do you know this? The pasuk says, "Vatehum kol ha'ir aleihem." They were wondering, but they saw Naomi come back. But Taimarna, Hazais Naomi, is this Naomi? My Hazais Naomi. What does it mean Hazais Naomi? Rabbi Yitzchak, Amru, the people of the city said, Chazisem, you see Naomi, Sheyatza mi Eretz l'chutz la'aretz ma'ol salah. Look what happened to her. Her husband died, her 2 children died, and that's, of course, they left Eretz Yisrael. Okay. Rabbi Yitzchak, Oisa Yoim, Shebos Rus HaMoaviyah Eretz Yisrael, the same day that Rus arrived in Eretz Yisrael with her mother-in-law, Mesa Ishtay Shel Boaz, the wife of Boaz died. Right? Yeah, the wife of Boaz died. V'hainu dami inshi, and people say, Adolai Shochiv Shichva, before a person dies, Kaima Manu Baisa, the one who's in charge of the house will stand up. So in this case, Rus, who's going to marry Boaz, was there. I think it showed up there that day. There was the Levaya, was that day. The Levaya of Boaz's wife, yeah. Amar Rav Bar Huna, Amar Rav, Ivtson Ze Boaz. Now in Shoftim, we have a list of Shoftim, and in Perik Yud Beis, one of the Shoftim listed is Ivtson, or Avtson. He was the father to his flock. Now the Navi calls him Ivtson, but in fact the Gemara tells us his identity. Said Boaz. That was Boaz. My Kamash Balon. What do you learn from the fact that you have to tell me that they're the same person? Kiidach the Rabbi Rav Huna, like the other din of Rabbi Rav Huna. Dama Rabbi Rav Huna Amarav. Meya ve'esrim mishtoyes asa Boaz lebanav. 120 sudos of engagement and sheva brachas Boaz made for his children. Shenemar by Hilo it says le'ivtzon. The pasuk says in Yud Beis it was to Ivtzon shloisha bonim. He had 30 sons, ushleishim banois, and 30 daughters, shilach achutza, that married other men, so a total of 60. Ushleishim banois hevi lebanov min achutz, and he brought what 30 back. So he had banois that married out and banois that came back. V'yishbeis Yisrael sheva shanim, chalachas v'achas asa shtei mishtoyis. Each one he made two parties for. Achas b'beis aviv, one he made in his house, v'achas beis chamav, one by the shver. And all these 120 parties, he did not go ahead and invite Manoach. Now, I was going to meet Manoach, was the father of Shimshon, and he didn't have any children. He didn't want him to feel bad that he didn't have it, and he's inviting him to this party. So he's not going to pay him back. So it's the way it sounds over here, like this is the God Lador, guys. Right. So why does it say over here? Because he said, Boaz said, Kudna akara, a male, a mule that's barren, sterile. But my parsley, how's it going to pay me back? So it's not pshat, right? What does that mean? So I'm not going to invite you because you're not going to invite me. Chas v'shalom. He didn't want him to feel bad. You invite. You always have to. Remember, it's a guy in Shir, Rabbi Zakatinsky. He did something I was so fascinated by it. I thought I was very, very moved by it. There's a minig, I don't know what it is, called the Mazinka Tanz. When you marry off the last kid, they take a broom and they sweep it out. They sweep the kids out. It's called Mazinka Tanz. And by his wedding, I asked him, "Are you going to have a Mazinka Tanz?" He goes, "No." I said, "Why?" So he goes, "There are many people over there at that wedding who's weren't zeicha to marry off one child, and I have to go ahead and put it in their faces." I was so moved by it. I thought it was very sensitive. So the same thing over here. He's going to go ahead. He's married of kind heart. Menayach has no kids. He has so many kids, and he's going to invite. How many parties can you invite him to? And so he didn't. So he didn't invite him to these parties. So what happened? And Tana, we learned for Kulon Mesu B'chayev. All of these children died in his lifetime. Behind the Ami Inshi, people say B'chayecha de Yaladet Shisin. Right? You have 60 children. Right? Shisin Lamalech. Why do you need 60 children? That Ichbol, marry another wife. The Oiled Chad, and you'll marry one. The Mishisin Zarvis was better than all what? All 60. He lost all these 60 kids, and he lived one life. Michael, this over here, up there. This Yehuda, give him a Gemara on top. So he married 60. He lost 60 kids. He then married one a Rus for one night. And he had one child, Oved, who had a son Yishai, who had a son David, who had a son Shleima. And as we'll see, she was Zeicha, Rus, to go ahead, what? And she sit next to Shleima. She was Zeicha to sit next to Shleima. So again, you never know. It says by Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu also got married late. You should have children when you're young and children when you're older, because you never know who's gonna be better. One never knows. Okay. Simin is Melech Avram Esashonim Shenifta Nisnashe Levate. Amrav Chanam Bar Rava. Amarav, Elimelech, Vishalmoin, Elimelech and Salmoin, who was the father of Boaz, Uploni Almaini, the Goyal, for Avi Naomi, and the father of Naomi, Kulam ben Nachshon ben Aminadav. All these were the sons of Nachshon. My Kamash, what are you telling me, the Yichus? Shafil Mishesh, the Schusavais, anyone that's Schusavais, like Avimelech had the Schus of Nachshon, the Nachshon who jumped into the Yamsuf, Nachshon who brought the first covenant in the Siyam, famous Nachshon, what happened? It's such a severe thing, even his Schus cannot go ahead and save him because he left Eretz Yisrael. Rav Chana bar Rava Amarav, Ime de Avraham. The mother of Avraham is Amasloi Bas Karnava, one of the more famous trivia questions of all time, guys. What was Avraham's mother's name? Amasloi Bas Karnava. Now, in case you were, this was at the tip of your tongue. Ime de Haman, who is the mother of Haman? It's Amasloi Bas Urvisi. So the same name as Avram's mother. But Karnavoy, guys, is from Lashon Karen, is a sheep. An oirev is what? Is a raven. It's a tamedik, a bird. The simonech, to remember who is what, is tamei. Haman, who was tamei, his mother was tamei, urveich. And Tara, Avram Avinu, who was Tahar, his mother was Bas Karnava, was a sheep. Ime de David, the mother of David, Nitzeves Basadoil Shema. Her name was Nitzeves Basadoil. If I recall correctly from my Navi days, the Me'am Lois brings down, if you say her name 17 times by davening, you muftach that your tefillah will be answered. Nitzeves Basadoil. Ime de Shimshon, the mother of Shimshon, is the mother of Shimshon is Hatzla Lepoinis. It's with a hey or without it say, but it's also Hatzla Lepoinis. We had a girl, I asked this question in class, and she went to a Beis Yaakov convention, and the prospect won because of this question. Yeah, that's a question. Rabbi Bloom also always throw these trivia questions. So it's Salapoinis. The Achose, and the name of Shimshon's sister is Nashon. Now, the Nafkamina, why do we have to know, now going back on everything, why do we have to know all these things? Is Lechuvas Haminim. This is what, go ahead and answer the Minim. The Minim, I'm going to say, you only mention the father, Terach, never mentions mothers. Who are their mothers? Yeah. So then here, we don't mention it, doesn't mean we don't know it. So look, we know who they are. Okay, there's a shot over here I sent out, guys, that there's a mitzvah to see. We'll spend a little time on it. So look at your phones. I sent out a piece today. We're going to see it's from Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, just an unbelievable piece. It's very funny. Why does it bother me mention the sister? Why do we have to know the sister? Sister's name was Nashin, right? Who cares? You told me the mothers. Why do we have to know the sister, right? But we didn't mention the sister by any of the others. Why are you mentioning it over here? So this is when Hagar is running away, and this is what the Malach tells her. Vayomel Malach Hashem, Hine Chara, you'll be pregnant, v'yoladet ben, and you'll have a son. Upirish Rashi, Hine Chara, Kishetashevuni, right? When you go back, Tahari, you'll get pregnant. Hine Charach Deishas Menoyach. Just like the Hine Charach Deishas Menoyach. So Rashi's telling you that the same way that it said that you will get pregnant, so too by Eishas Menoach, it was necessary to say you will get pregnant. Good? V'hine, this is Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky. Zechat Tzadik Kodesh L'Bracha. V'hine, Sham hayamuchrich lefarish kain. There, it was necessary to say that you will get pregnant. Shahari b'shoiftim period gimel pasuk gimel. Amala hamalach hine no at akara. You're an akara. V'lo yaladit v'haresa v'yaladit ben. V'ata hishamrina ki hine chara. Because you're pregnant. V'yaladis ben ayin sham. The mashma shehine kvar hara. She already was pregnant. It's necessary for us to explain something that is informed by a malach. You could say it, you are pregnant, even though it's the future. So it's necessary to point out that she wasn't pregnant, but the malach said you will be pregnant. So the lashon of hoiva is you are pregnant. Does not mean you are pregnant, I mean you will be pregnant. And that's the same thing by Hagar. You're not pregnant now, but you will get pregnant, right? You will get pregnant. She lost the baby, remember, because of Ayin Hara. Sarah worked hard. She had been pregnant, and she lost the baby. So you'll get another baby. Omnam kfi anira haminim, the minim sheina noitzrim, the Christians amru kishanu la agnoi alehem, when we rely upon them kishamru shenis abra beruach kodesh, that the immaculate conception amru heim kvar hoyeloi lamim shari shimshon nis abe b'divrei hamalach, that Shimshon was pregnant as a result of the words of the Malach. Shari betchilas hadibor adayin lehoisim muberes. You said in your akara shev ticha b'lashon asid ubetoich advarim, and as the conversation continued, amala shehine hara, you are pregnant. Lafika chaya kadosh mirechem, and therefore the goyim, the Noitzim held. You know why Shimshon was different than anyone else? Because Shimshon was this abba through the words of a Malach. Because initially in the conversation she wasn't pregnant, and as the conversation went on, she said, "Oh, Sean, you're pregnant." So Rashi had to tell you, no, the Malach didn't mean you are pregnant now. You will get pregnant. You hear this? You hear this? You don't have it on your phone? V'novin b'zeh ha-Gemara in Baba Basra daf Tzadik Aleph, Amid Aleph. Imei de Shimshon Salapoinis v'achte Nashyon. L'may nafkamina l'tshuvas aminim. May nafkamina l'tshuvas aminim. So we learned what l'tshuvas aminim mean. That which they should know they come from somewhere, right? Listen to this. The ayim pirish Rashbam ve'ina moving. It's not understandable. Gam b'chedushay agadai heyer, says the Barsha. Shleimatzinu shahoisloi achais. We don't find that what he had a sister. V'adarabba mashma shlo yolad reishus benoach rak zeha ben. Right. The only child she had was what? Was this child. V'aminim vaday lo yishlu al shema. And the minim didn't ask about her name. Ella did nokta agav gerora the ime b'ayin sham. The chol zed doichik, says the Rabbi Yaakov. All that is a doichik. Lefigach near release, says Rabbi Yaakov. The Gemara zu hoyse tshuva keneged aminim hanal. This whole Gemara is an answer to those minim. V'hainu shemeviin raya shahaya ibur tivai. The Gemara is bringing a raya that she got pregnant in a normal way. Shei hoyse loy achos gamkein, because she all had a sister. Why is it stressing you had a sister? That you should say Shimshon was as the result of the words of the Malach. Because the sister was no reason to go ahead and say that what? That it was immaculate, that a Malach impregnated her, right? There'd be no reason to say that. The whole reason you're mentioning it, you're mentioning it is the Bishlei Ma'imais, Upirshei Gemara Hai, L'may nafkamina Klaimar, Lama Lanu L'das, right? I'll something. Why do we have to know about his sister? The Bishlemi Moishapu Hiskru. Aval Achais, Man Kashmayo. The mothers that go fine, we listed all the mothers, but all of a sudden you're mentioning a sister? Umishani, you know why we mentioned the sister? Litshuvas Haminim, Shemizeh Muchach Shehaya Ibetavai. Just like the sister wasn't Basavadam, so to what? Shimshon was Basavadam. We had a similar thing over here when we did the Weiss Lloyd's daughters, but Moshe said that a similar thing. But anyway, let's skip a little bit to the end over here. So, guys, you hear the pshat over here. The whole reason you're mentioning the sister is to say that to inform. They don't make a mistake in the beginning of the conversation. She's not pregnant, and all of a sudden in the conversation she is pregnant. And the Noitzim said that what she got pregnant through the words of the Malach. No, she had a sister, and just like that sister was Basar V'Dam, so too was Shimshon. Bina Reisi b'Medrash Nosai Perik Yud shekosav ala pasuk ki hincha harav yiladet ben mikan shehoisa shechva zera shel alayla shemura berachma shlei poltasa. We know that shechva zera can go ahead and impregnate up to 3 days. So the zera that would impregnate her was already in there, and that's pshat hine chara. You're pregnant because it's considered the act was done already, right? The kimin she'amalei hamalach v'haresa yiladet ben oisa shah kibla harechem. At that time, the rechem went ahead and the insemination took place, conception took place. Oisa tipa vayin sham. Who like Rashi? They don't not like our Rashi. So there's such a day that what hine chara that mamish that at that time. So they're very fascinating. I thought Rabbi Yaakov Zatzal, and that's Tshuvas Haminim. That's what it means, the Tshuvas Haminim. Not that the mothers, that they had mothers. The Tshuvas Haminim that said that what, that she was immaculate conception, it's the Tshuvas Haminim to say what. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. What? Yaakov Kanetsky. Emes Yaakov. Yeah, there's Sefer Emes Yaakov. It's yeah, what? Yeah, it's a fantastic piece. Okay, says the Gemara Vaita. Amar Rav Chana bar Abba, Amar Rav, Es Shonim Nichbash Avram Avinu. For 10 years, Avram was put away. Sholish bekuta, 3 in Kuta, b'shemin b'kardai. Like Kuta is where the Kutim come from, right? This is in Iraq, and 7 years in Kardai. It's a place in Turkey. Rav Dimi Menadoi Masni Ibcha, the opposite. 7 years in Kuta and 3 years in Kardai. Amrav Chista Ibra Zeira, that's the name of a place. The Kuta Zeu Ur Kasdan. That's Ur Kasdan, where the Nesabat of the Kivshan Eish took place. Amrav Chana Barabba Amarav Oisa Yom Shenifta Avram Avinu Mina Oilam. The day that Avram Avinu was niftar, Amid Kol Gedolei Umas Oilam B'Shura. They when it came together and they stood in a row. V'amru Oy Loila Oilam. Woe to the world. Sha'avim Manhigoi that lost its manig. V'Oy La L'Sfina. Woe is to the ship. Sha'abed Karbanita lost its captain, the one who steers the ship. So there's a Meiri, if I recall, in the Sechta Avis, that said Avram Avinu, when he was nifta from the world, was Makar of more than 2/3 of the world. Avram Avinu, again, everyone was into Avodah Zarah. Avram practiced monotheism, and he was Makar of more than 2/3 of the world. So it would make sense that he got such a levaya. Right? What? What happened to them? There's a good question. So I saw 2 pshatim. One I saw, one I heard. The one I saw was that their religion was based upon Avram Avinu. In other words, his charisma and his food and when he was lost, they were lost as a result because it wasn't rooted in. They didn't have Torah beforehand. It wasn't rooted. Avram taught them Torah, but you didn't have Torah to hold on to, and so their Yiddishkeit wasn't rooted in Torah. Another thing I heard is that these are the Gerim throughout the generations. They come back. These are the Gerim throughout the generations. They come back. Okay, so the pasuk says, "V'misnasei l'chol roish." Amar Rav Chana bar Rab, again, reason we're mentioning this, these are all statements of Chana bar Rava. Why are we mentioning this? Is that Afilu Reish Gargusa, the one who's in charge of a bar, right? Who Mishmaya Mukmila is set up. Even Hakadosh Baruch Hu, such a menial job, Hakadosh Baruch Hu will set him up. Is in charge. Amar Rav Chia bar Rav and Amar Yeshua ben Karcha. Chas v'shalom. Going back on Elimelech, Chas v'shalom, that he's punished for leaving Eretz Yisrael. Shafilu matzah subin lo yatzu. Even if he would have found he didn't leave because of leaving Stamazai. Even if he would have found any food, he left that. El Feiman and Nashu. Why did they get punished? Shahoy lo levakesh rachim al doiram lay bikshur. They davened for the generation and they didn't. Right? They should have davened for the generation and they didn't. Shneimar, it says. It says that when you cry out, the gathered ones will save you. So they should have cried out. Amar Rabbi Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Right, says Rabbi Chana in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Loishanu, that it's asa to go me'eretz l'chutz la'aretz. Ela b'mois b'zoil peris b'yoker. When money is cheap and peris are expensive. Avo mois b'yoker, when money is expensive. No, it's not a lot of money. Afilu amdu arba soim b'sela. Even when you get 4 saw b'sela, right? It's so cheaply, but you don't have money to buy it. Then yoitzin, you're able to go from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. So these are some of the reasons. Siman Esela, Poel Charuva, Talia Amin. Then Rabbi Yochanan, Nehirna. Rabbi Yochanan says, I remember. Rabbi Yochanan was speaking about the good old days. Nehirna, I remember. Kadhavi Kaimi Arba Soim B'Sela. Eretz Yisrael was so fruitful that you were able to go ahead and buy 4 saw for a seller. Having nefiche kifon b'Tveria, and nonetheless, people were starving in Tveria with the less Isa because they didn't have money to buy food. From Rabbi Yochanan, Nehirna, I remember, kadle havi mitagrin pa'alyol the midmach karta mereach pita maisen. They couldn't find workers to go ahead and work in the east of the city because the west wind would come and blow towards the east, and they would smell the smell of the bread, and it seems that would kill them. It was smelled so good. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Nehirna, I remember, Ka'avi Botza Yenuka Charuva, when Yenuka would go ahead and break open a piece of bakza, having Nagit Chuta de Dufsha Alterin de Roye, and a strip of honey would come out of the bakza thing a dry Basra is.
Not ours.
Yeah, yeah. We got we have the leftovers from that time. The only one who liked that Basra with a dentist. You go ahead, you put it in your mouth, you got it in the bag, you break your teeth on it. Right? It was like, yeah. No, remember, you ever see real Basra? It's soft and good, but you got that Basra, it was hard as anything. Right.
That was a nace.
Carrot. Yeah.
Get the nace of the tree was there.
Our box is from the store.
So drip down his arms. Here now I remember having natal urva bisra when an oirev would take basa. I remember when a raven would take basa, when the gid chuta the mishcha meirei shura bad la'ara. They would go ahead and the fat would drip down from the top of the wall to the earth. To the Rabbi Yochanan, here now I remember kadhavi mitpailin talya b'talya sa b'shuka kibashish esrei u'kvashav esrei. Women and young boys, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, and young girls would walk in the street. But it didn't lead to a chait. They were on a higher level of ruchnias. Here I remember Karabi Omrin Be Midrasha, they would say in the base medrash, the moide lahain, those who go ahead and moide to the goyim and the mechanif the goyim, nafal b'yadayim, they fall into their hands. Reichsen aleihem, and the ones who place their trust in them and tell them their secrets, delay delhain. Whatever belongs to them, the goyim will eventually get. Ksiv, machlan v'kilyoin, it says machlan v'kilyoin, and it says yoyash v'saraf. In machlan kilyoin, it says in Rus, and they're called in, when they list the children of Binyamin, they're called yoyash v'saraf. What's their real name? Rav Shmuel Chadama Shmon Machlan v'kilyoin. The real name is Machlan v'kilyoin. V'lama nikra Shmon Saraf v'yoyash. Is yoyash and Isyashim in Agula. He despaired from the Gula. And Saraf, because in Schai b'Sreifas l'makan. When they left Eretz Yisrael, he was Schai b'Sreifa. Chadama yoyash Saraf u'Shmon. The real name is yoyash Saraf. V'lama nikra Shmon Machlan v'kilyoin. Machlan because also gufan chulin. He made his guf into mundane. The kilyon shen is chayvu kloyam l'makom is chayv kliya to be destroyed l'makom. A very good way to know who is married to who. That Rus was married to Machlon. Machlon's lashon mechila, but Kilyam is married to Arpa, and therefore it was killed. Tanya Commander Amar Machlon v'Kilyon Shema. Bryce that was the names of Machlon v'Kilyon. The Tanya my dechsiv. It says Vayokim v'anshe koizeva v'yoyesh v'sharaf asher ba'olu l'moyav v'yashuvi lechem v'advorim atikim. What does that mean? V'yokim ze Yeshua shehekim shvua la'anshe givain. That he kept the shvua to anshe givain. They fooled them. They say they came from a faraway place. They were really from the Zayinumais, and he kept the shvua. It's the lashon of Vayokim. He fulfilled the shvua. V'anshe koizeva. What's anshe koizeva? Elu anshe givain shekizvu Yeshua. They fooled Yeshua by saying they came again, dressing up, saying they're not from the Zayinumais. V'yoyish v'saraf elu machlan b'kilyoin. V'lo menikush ma yoyish v'saraf. Yoyish and Yashim and Agula and Sarv shen is chayv v'sreif l'makom. That's the raya. Asher bolu l'moyav. Who is that? Shenasu nashim ma'yiviyos. They didn't marry gay. They weren't gayrim. V'yeshuvi lohem zerusam ma'aviyah sheshava v'nivdchov beis lechem Yehuda. Right, lechem is lechem Yehuda. She came the yichus of David. But dvarim atikim. What does that mean? Dvarim atikim. Dvarim alol. These things, these matters of Machlan, the Kilyon, and who's going to come out from them? Malchus Beis David is atich yomim amorin. It's from the ancient days. Dechsiv matzasi David Avdi. I found David Avdi in Sidon. He found David Avdi in Sidon. The Meister with the daughters. The Ksiv Shtei ben Asayach and Nimtsois, and the two daughters were found there. I just have to excuse myself for more than a few minutes, maybe. Hema hayotzim b'yoshvei nitoyim u'gedeira im hamelech b'melachta yoshvu sham. That's the Gemara. Let's go through each one. Hema hayotzim, the potters. Elu b'nei Yoinadav ben Rechav shenatzru shvuas avihem. He made a shvua not to drink wine, and they kept the shvua not to drink wine. Yoshvei nitoyim zeh shlomo shedamu l'natiyah. That's the Malchus of Shlomo. That was compared to a young sapling. B'malchusay u'gedeira. The pasuk says gedeira zu Sanhedrin shegadru es persashem shel Yisrael, who goes ahead and surrounds the Pirtz and Klal Yisrael. If anything is to make a sayag around the Torah, a fence around the Torah. And Melech b'malachta yashvu sham zerus ha'moaviyah Sherasa b'malchus Shlomo ben Benoshel ben Bina. She saw her great grandson Shmuel sitting on Shlomo sitting on the throne. Shnemar, it says, "Vayosem kisei le'im hamelech." They made a kisei for the mother of Malchus. V'amar Rabbalasa le'ima shel Malchus. That's Rus. Tan Rabbanon. It says, "Uzeratim es hashon hashminis ve'achaltim min atfu yashon." And you'll plant in the 8th year, and you'll eat from the yashon. What's yashon? Beloy sal mintnon. Again, you're eating food that was 6th year, and you're eating the 7th year, 8th year. It's not getting ruined. So salmitin does not what? It doesn't dry out. My beloy salmitin. What does that mean? Rav Nachman Amar beloy ritzinta. That's a type of bug. Rav Sheshes Amar beloy shedifim without rat. So Tanya Kabbalah, so in other words, you can eat guaranteed if you keep the Shemitah year and you plant all the old stuff is going to remain, in good shape. It won't rot and it won't be buggy. Tanya Kavasi Rav Sheshes, that means what? Rat. Tanya Kavasi Rav Nachman, it means bugs. Tanya Kavasi Rav Nachman means bugs. V'achaltam yashan, it says you'll eat yashan. Yachal, I might think it means that what you swallow mitzapim l'chadash. I might think they're looking for the good stuff because the other stuff got wormy. Yashan shekala, because the yashan got eaten up by the worms. Talmud Leimar adboyet fuasa at shetavay tvua. They're looking forward to the new stuff, but not necessarily because the old stuff was bad. At shetavay tvua me'aleha. Tanya Kavasi Rav Sheshes. V'chaltim min atvua yashan yachal sheyisol mitzapim l'chadash mipnei yashan of shara. I mean, because it went bad, not because of bugs. It went bad. Talmud Leimar adboyet tvuasa at shetavay tvua me'aleha. Tan Rabbanan. V'chaltim yashan nashan double yashan melamed shekolam miyushim mechaver. Where any grain that's older than its fellow grain have a yafa mechaver. It's better. Ve'enli ela devarim shedarken liyashna. It's something that's normally what, like wine or chitim. That the older the better it gets. Devarim shein darken liyashna, things that usually you don't keep around. Minayin, how do you know they won't go bad? Talmud Leimar yashan nashan. The extra lashon of nashan mikol makayim, even Paris, for example, that usually you don't keep around, they'll get good. They'll stay good. V'yashem ifnei chodesh teitzию, the pasuk says, right? They'll be full of what? Of yashan, which is good stuff. How will we be able to take out the old tefua if they say because of what? Of the new tefua. Again, that's how good. If you keep the Shemitah year, that's how good things are going to be. Amra Papa kol milei atika ma'alya. Anything that's older than somebody else is better. Levar, with the exception of mitamrei tamarim, the shikra and beer, the harsana and little fish. So sardines don't get better when they get older. Nor does beer, and nor the dates. Hajjalech Hamesha Asfina, Hajjalech Hamesha Asfina, Hajjalech Hamesha Asfina. Amen.